We're now in Dcad lesson 12I, and we're still dealing with the site plan. So some of the things that we need to do is, while we've done our sheet notes over here in the sheet note legend, we also need to actually use these sheet note numbers to indicate specific items on the site plan. So we're going to be dealing with that today. Also, you can see that we have quite a bit of room here available in the site plan, so we're probably going to scoot things around a little bit, clean it up a little bit, and create some more room, because I'm thinking that the garage is small enough where we might be able to get all 4 elevations onto the site plan also. What we're trying to do is to create drawings with as few pages as possible without being overly cluttered, so that they're easily readable. So one of the first things we're going to do is go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and select this entire site plan and kind of scoot it up into the corner a little bit more, and just hit M for move and kind of scoot it up here out of the way just a little bit more. I'm going to take the text and I'm going to check to see what layer it's in, and so I'm going to select just the text for the site plan and open up the info box. And I can see that it's in layer 253, which is the actual title layer for the titles for the drawings. So what I'm going to do is text for the site plan should be in layer 24. I'm going to verify that by hitting L for layers, and you look at layer 24 and it says text site. So I can go ahead and close that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this text right now and go to the info box and scoot on up to layer 24 and click on that. And so all of this information, title information for the site plan specifically, is now in layer 24. And I'm going to use the scroll bar to move things over a little bit and hit M for move, and kind of put this up here so that it relates more closely to the site plan. Okay, and I'm going to zoom up on that real quick, just on the north arrows, because in this particular drawing for the site plan, north is facing up, so I can get rid of this project north arrow, which I use if the building doesn't align perfectly to the north. So I'm hitting delete, and both of these red dashed lines can be removed, and move the info box out of the way. And I'm going to use my scroll button just to hold down control and roll back on the scroll button so I can see it a little better. And so now if I hit Control W so that I can see the entire drawing, you can see I have quite a bit of room here, but I still have a whole bunch of room that's being taken up by the building areas that aren't going to be used. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple things. I'm going to select several of those lines. I'll leave 1 or 2 on there in case I need additional information downrange, and select those and hit delete, so that just gets those out of the way. I'm going to move both building areas and index to sheets up a little bit. So I'm going to, now I'm hitting the comma, and just so that I gravity move to the handle, and hit M for move, and I'm just going to use my arrows keys to scoot that up a little bit, whole enchilada up a little bit, and then hit enter. Now hit escape to unselect. And now, because I don't know how many sheets I'm going to have in this drawing, I know that there's not going to be very many. I'm guessing maybe 3 or 4 because it's a relatively small project. But I still want to move this index of sheets up further so that I have a larger area down here below so that I can import my elevation drawings. So I'm going to go ahead and just select this. And notice that I'm making the selection rectangle fairly large. And the reason is when I let go of it, it puts my handle down here out of the way, not near anything. So I can snap to it by hitting the comma, the gravity move, and then hit M, and use my arrow keys just to move this guy on up quite a ways so that it's pretty much out of the way, and then hit enter. And so now we have a lot more room down here, and I know that a lot of these index sheet numbers will be removed because I won't be having that many sheets in this drawing. So I'm going to save real quick. So the next thing I want to do is start using my actual sheet notes that are over here in the sheet note legend, and they're too small to see right now, so I'm going to hit Z and zoom up in this area of the sheet note legend so I can see what they are. So sheet note number 1 is the existing residence, and sheet note number 2, you can read on down the line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 and 2. I know that 2 is the driveway, and 1 is existing residence. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab both of those just to save a little bit of time, and hit Control W and hit N for duplicate, and just kind of move them over here into this area. And let's see, about like so, and then zoom up on that area. And essentially I need to be in layer 24. So I'm going to go to layers now and make 24 my current active layer, and click OK. And so we know that that sheet note 1 was the existing residence, and sheet note 2 was proposed driveway location. I'm going to scoot over here so we can verify that proposed driveway, concrete driveway. So that's sheet note 2. So I'm going to take 2 right now, and I'm going to scoot 1, hit escape so nothing else is selected, and move 1 over here to hit M for move. And I'm just going to stick it over here to the side for now. Well, actually, I will just go ahead and do the arrow for it. And I'm right-clicking to gravity snap, and it sets a point. You can see that it set a point down here. And I'm hitting H for orthogonal mode and taking it and just hitting K as I get close to the residence, the existing residence. Hit K. And here at the arrowhead size, it's saying it's going to be size 1. Our text for the site plan is 0.875, so I'm going to change that arrow size to 0.875. And now I already have 2 points, so you can see down here in this lower right corner. And so since I have those 2 points all set, all I have to do now is just click on my scroll button, and there's the arrow. So now we're indicating that these lines here are for the existing residence. Now we have the existing driveway, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that and hit M to move it and kind of put it up here in the middle of the driveway. And I'm going to do a couple of arrows, and the reason is I'm just going to indicate that the driveway itself is what we're referring to in that note. So I'm going to hit the arrow key and gravity snap to a point by hitting by just right clicking, and then I'm just going to come out a ways and left click. It's still in orthogonal mode, and hit my scroll button to make the arrow. Now a real easy way to do this is just to right click to snap to it, but it snapped the number box instead, and I hit enter, and it'll select the next thing that's closest to that point. And I'm going to hit the slash key, which is the mirror key. And you can see right up here that it's going to mirror on the x-axis. And so all I have to do right now is right click and snap to that point on the sheet note number box and hit escape. And so now sheet note 2 is referring to the driveway. Hit Control W so I can see where I'm going, and I'm going to zoom over to the sheet note legend and zoom up on that, and the proposed garage and the property lines. So I can select both of those again, and garage is ahead of the property lines. Garage is 3 and property lines are 4. And I'm going to hit Control W, and I'm going to hit N and just kind of park these guys over here. Let's see, where do I want to put proposed garage? Maybe down here. And I'm going to zoom up on that area now. And okay, so 4 is the property line, so I'm going to hit M, selected it, and I hit M. I'm going to scoot over here to this corner, hit Control W, and then hit N so I can duplicate it, because I want to point to actually all 4 property lines so they can tell easily what are the property lines. I'm going to zoom back up to the garage and select that sheet note number and move it down just a little bit. down to this area here, and hit Control W, and just go back over to here to verify that 3 is the garage and 4 is the property lines. Okay, Control W. So now I'm going to zoom over to the property lines, and here I'm going to do another arrow, which is the greater than key, or shift period, I guess, and right click, and I'm still in orthogonal mode. You can see it just wants to go in a straight line. I'm just going to come over here to the property line and hit K, so it'll snap to it, and hit my scroll button to initiate the command, and there's my arrow there. Now I'm going to do one going off this other direction, and do another arrow, and right click and go here with the orthogonal mode. And this one I'm going to set an additional point because I want a bent arrow. So I'm going to set a point right here, hit H to go toggle out of orthogonal mode and bring my arrow down to this point here, and just hit K to snap to that property line, and there's my next arrow. And if I hit Control R, it regenerates the drawing and gets rid of any artifacts, and you can see the arrows more clearly. So that takes care of those property lines. While I'm right here, you can see I have artifacts here, so I'm going to hit Control R to get rid of those. That just regenerates the drawing. I'm going to want to put an arrow here that's indicating that this is the proposed garage. So I'm hitting the arrow command again, which is, again, the greater than command, and or shift period, depending on how you want to look at it. And so I'm initiating the arrow command. You can see its dialog box up here. The size is still 0.875 because that's what I've told it to be, and it's going to remain the default as long as until I change it. I'm going to right click onto this point of the sheet note box, number box, and go back to orthogonal mode, H, set a point, go out of H orthogonal mode and click, then hit K to click to the wall, and push down on my scroll button to initiate the command. So now we have sheet note number 4 saying that this is the property lines, and sheet note number 3 is indicating the proposed garage. So I'm going to hit Control W because we have a couple other property lines that we're going to need to designate. So I'm going to zoom up to this corner over here, hit Z for zoom, move up there, and I'm going to do the same sort of thing that I did before. I'm going to hit the arrow command, the greater than command. I'm going to hit H to be in orthogonal mode because you can see that it's not in it right now. Hit H, it toggles on, right click and it snaps to it, and I go to my property line, K to snap to the property line, and then I'm going to do another arrow off the other direction. So I'm going to hit the arrow command and right click, and again I'm not in orthogonal mode right now. I'm going to hit H to toggle onto that, go out a little ways, set a point with my left mouse button, hit H to go out of orthogonal mode, and then kind of come up at an angle here to the property line. Hit K, and then I'm going to tap my scroll button to initiate the command. Now all these lines are kind of looking alike, and we're going to do something about that right now. So I'm going to hit Control W. I'm going to select my property lines, and one of the things that we have to deal with the property lines is to try to indicate a line that looks different than the other line, so to eliminate some of the confusion. So I'm going to zoom up on this area and pull up the info box. The info box gives us options for type. This is right now it's just saying that it's a solid line. So, and the line, there's no dashes or anything in the solid line, but the line scales too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on down a ways and to the various lines, and there's a border line, divide line. I've created a line called Special 2 that I like for property lines. So I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm going to change the size of it. And right now, as you see, when I click out of that one box, it already changes the look of the property lines. But those are way too small. So I'm gonna try a scale of 10. See how that looks, and just type 10 in the line scale and then hit Enter. That looks better. So, but it's also a thin line still, so I want to make the line thicker. So where the line with dialogue is, I'm going to make it, let's try 0.2. That might be too big. Let's try 0.1 first. Type in 0.1, hit enter. And it's thicker, but still it could be, let's try 0.2. That might look better. Okay, Control W. Got to get back into the drawing. Control W. Okay, so if I zoom up on this just a little bit, let's see if it's dark enough. Yeah, it's showing up really pretty well. No, not bad. Okay, so now at least we have our property lines where we can tell them from various other aspects of the drawing. Now, one of the things that we still need to do that we haven't dealt with yet is we need to deal with the actual building envelope, which has to do with things like easements, side yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, that sort of thing that are areas that we can't build within. And here where this garage is being located in the city of Ashland, we have in this particular zone we have 6-foot side yard setbacks, and the rear setback is at 10 feet per story. And since it's a single-story garage, that's really pretty easy to deal with. Our front yard setbacks are a little more complex. We have a 20-foot front yard setback for garages, a 15 front yard setback for houses typically, and that sort of thing, and an 8-foot setback for unenclosed porches. They like to bring the porches closer to the street. So anyway, what I'm going to do is hit L for layers and go to layers and go to layer 25, which is the building envelope. I'm going to make that the current active layer and click OK. And so to make things simple, I'm just going to go ahead and select these property lines, and I'm going to hit F2 for parallel by distance. And if I hit F2, I'm going to I already have 6 in here. Type it anyway so you can see it. And I'm going to now select this the selected property lines and just click to the inside of it, and then left click. And so now I have lines that are a full 6-foot parallel to the property lines. You can see these overlap because this is where the actual property lines actually joined at the end point. So so I can hit E and trim this to this, and E to trim this to this. But also what I want to do is I click on this, I still have one line. So I'm going to need to show multiple lines here in the front, because I have my 8-foot, my 15-foot, my 20-foot lines I have to deal with. And I'm going to need to show at least a single 10-foot line here to the rear. So there are some real simple ways to deal with all this. And I can see that with the 6-foot line I have some problems with some of my sheet note arrows. So anyway, we'll go ahead and deal with the building envelope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this front one to the sides. I'm going to hit E and trim it to the side, and then I'm going to hit E and trim it to this side. And what that does is it also breaks the line. You see when I select it, it just selects this front line. So I need to show a line at 8 foot from this front property line, and we're at 6 foot right now. So that would basically mean that I'm doing one 2 feet parallel to that. So F2, and I'm typing in the dialog 2. I'm just going in, and now I'm going to get rid of that one. Hit delete, and it's gone. So now I have my 8 foot. So now I have to have a 15 foot. So I'm going to select it again. This is that front line. And right now it's 8 feet in front, so I need another 7 feet. So I'm going to hit F2, and I can hit Tab and just to select it, and I'm going to hit 7 and come on in, and there's my 15 foot. So that is a normal front yard setback for a house. And then I have a 20 foot. So I'm going to go ahead and just select this one that's 15 and hit F2 again and hit Tab to select the box and hit 5 because 15 and 5 is 20. So I'm going to bring one more in. And that's the front yard setback actually for garages, so we don't have a problem there. So the other thing I need to do is I need to trim these two lines to each other. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift E, and that trims two lines, that one and that one. Shift E. I'm going to trim this one to this one. And the other lines are already trimmed. Now I need to do the same thing to the rear. So I'm going to hit E and trim this rear one to the side yard setback. And these are really pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit E and trim this one down to here. Make sure I miss the arrow. So we're 6 feet and I need to be 10, so that means I need another 4 feet. We have no two-story situation here, so I don't need to do the additional 10 feet. So I'm going to select it, hit F2 for parallel by distance, hit Tab, and so since I'm at 6 feet, I need another 4 feet. I'm going to type 4 in, and now I'm going to just click over here and bring it over and click. And now I can get rid of this 6-foot line. I'm going to hit delete and get rid of it. And I'm going to trim these two to each other. Shift E trims two lines to each other. And then Shift E and trim this one and this one. Being careful not to hit the arrow. So we have some minor malfunctions with some of our sheet notes, and we're going to take care of those right now. So what I'm going to do is the one that's pointing to the garage, I'm just going to select that whole guy and move it on to hit M for move, and just come on down here, and now just select my arrow and just bring it on up like so, and hit K to snap to the garage. Zoom up in this area so I can see a little more clearly, and select these two and hold down Shift and select this additional arrow and hit M and move them like so. Maybe about like so. Now this arrow, I'm going to make sure I'm going to hit H to be in orthogonal mode and just bring it on out, and then hit K as I get near the property line. And then this one, I'm going to select both of these points on the arrow, and I'm still in orthogonal mode, so I'm going to right-click to this one and just bring it straight on down a little ways, about like so. And here, I'm going to hit Escape and then select it again, so I'm only selecting one point. I'm hitting H to go out of orthogonal mode. And here's something that's kind of neat. I can either just right-click and take the point of this arrow and K to this line, which would be fine. But the other thing, if I wanted this to be exactly at the intersection of these of the arrow and the property line, what I can do is I can right-click on the arrow, go over here to where it says Intersect to, and left-click on that. And for this purpose, it's going to treat the arrow like a line. So if I click near the arrow and then click, you can see that it's already showing, indicating where it's going to set it. And then click on this line, it puts it right there at the intersection of those two. So I'm going to hit Control W, and I'm going to zoom up on this area right here, because we also have the same problem at this property line. So I'm going to select these the sheet note and its two arrows and hit M for move, and just kind of scoot it up here a little bit, and about like so, I think. And so I'm going to select this arrow and right click on it and hit H to be in orthogonal mode and bring it onto the property line, and close to it I'm going to hit K. And then this guy here, I'm just going to do this the other way. I'm going to take it out of orthogonal mode, H, and grab that point and just hit K to snap to it. So now we have our sheet notes that are pointing where they need to be, and I don't see any other conflicts with the sheet notes at this point in time. So what we need to do now is we need to select the building envelope or the setback lines. And I'm going to go to the quick and dirty way to do that is to go to Layers and hit L for Layers, and I'm going to just right-click on the building envelope line here, right-click on it, and come on down to where it says Select Highlighted Layers, and left-click there, and click OK. So now all of these, I can see I have a little boo-boo over here, I'll fix in a minute. All of these lines for the building envelope are selected, so I'm going to come up to the bring the info box up, and I want to change the color. What I want to do is I'm going to go over here to my color toolbox, click on red. I'm going to hold down my button. I like this brighter one a little better. And so that's made red, that bright red, our current color. Now I'm going to go down here to the A and apply it to the selection. And so now you can see an info box that's turned red, so those lines are all red. I also want to change the look of the lines a little bit. So we have multiple lines, so I can click where this line is here in the info box and click, just left click on that, and it's solid. I want to go to a hidden line, so I'm going to go on down and select hidden line and just left click on that, and I want to scale. I'm not sure what scale I want. I want it to be thin, so I'm going to use 0. So I'm just going to click OK to see what it looks like. That's not bad. It is kind of close in size to the topographic lines, but I think it's small enough where we can tell the difference. So I'm also going to actually give it a little bit of line weight. I'm going to left click again on the line style, and I'm going to just make it, I think I'll make it 0.1. That's thinner than the property lines, but heavier than a topo line. Click OK. And zoom up. I'm going to move the info box out of the way here and zoom up to this area to see what we're looking like, and hit escape. Okay, so now you can see our setback lines, and this one here I still have to repair by hitting Shift E and trim them to each other. Done. Okay, so now we have our building envelope lines. We have some of our sheet notes indicated on the plan. We stopped at 4, so now we're going to go over to the sheet notes again and see what 5 and 6 are. So 5 is the contour line, so I'm just going to select that one. And again, notice, I'm going to hit escape. Notice how I do a selection rectangle that's large, so my handle's not near anything. It's easy to snap to that way. So I'm going to select that again, and I'm going to set a handle now. You know, if I have a handle that I want to align with on another sheet note, then that can be pretty handy. Or I can just, in this case, because I'm not really aligning with anything else, I can put it, just leave the handle where it is. So I hit Control W and hit M in a location where I can show an arrow going to the contour line, just to help somebody understand what those are. So I'm going to hit N to duplicate it here, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate it here, out here at the front also. Okay, so I'm hitting Z to zoom up on this area, H to be in orthogonal mode. I want to do an arrow, but I need to be, right now I'm still in the building envelope layer, so I'm going to hit L, go to layers, and I want to be in layer 24 because that's essentially text. Click OK, and I'm going to hit the arrow command, the greater than command, and right click, and I'm in orthogonal mode, bring it out a little ways, set a point, hit H to go out of orthogonal mode, and hit K to snap to the line. And then, oops, wrong color though. I want to go to black. Over here in the color toolbox, select this and hit A to apply, and it's gone black. So now I'm going to do another arrow over here, H to orthogonal mode, and then hit H again to go out of, set a point, and then hit H again to go out of orthogonal mode and come down this way and hit K to snap to that contour line. Control W, because I still have one out here I want to indicate. Basically, we're just trying to explain to whoever's reading the plans that all these are contour lines. We don't have to point to each one, but they'll get the general idea. Hit Z for zoom and go over to this corner. And I'm going to initiate the arrow command and hit H for orthogonal mode. And bring out a little bit. Hit set a point. H to go out of orthogonal mode. Don't say that too fast. And hit K to snap to the contour line, and hit down on my scroll button to initiate the command. Control W. So now we have our 5th sheet note indicating that it's the contour line. So I'm going to zoom back up on the sheet note legend here, and we still have eave lines and setbacks. And so I'm just going to grab both of those again. because it's fast and dirty, and hit Control W, and wait, hit Control M to go zoom back. Proposed eaves are 6 and setbacks are 7. Okay, Control W, and I'm just going to hit N to duplicate that, and I'm just going to kind of put them down here and zoom up to that area. And so I think 6, hit escape, 6 is the eave, so I'm just going to move it down here and do an arrow. Orthogonal mode H, bring it out a little bit, hit H to go out of orthogonal mode and come up to this and snap to the eave, K, and that shows what that is. Now, while I'm here, I can see that this dimension text is kind of has a line going through it, or you know, one of the setback lines. So I'm going to click on that dimension, right click at this center line, and just kind of pull it down a little ways so it's out of the way, and then just left click. So that pulled that dimension so it's easier to read. It's no longer in the setback line. So now we got to indicate the setback lines. I see that also I have the same issue over here. So I'm going to use my scroll bar to scoot over a little bit. I'm going to, well, let's see, let me select this guy and move it over just a little bit. Just all you have to do is right click to that center point and then just pull it over a little bit. About there, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to select 7 here, cheat note 7. You got to put the artifacts in here. Control R it regenerates and gets rid of all that. But this version of Dcad does a lot of artifacts. So I'm going to, now sheet note 7's been selected. I'm going to hit M to move it over to this area here. And here we're going to do multiple arrows just for fun. So put it about there. And I hit escape, and I'm going to initiate the arrow command. I'm going to right click, then go to H for orthogonal, set a point, hit H to go out of orthogonal, and go up to here and hit K. Hit the scroll button to initiate the command. So now I'm going to initiate the arrow command again, snap to it, right click to snap to it, H to orthogonal mode, and put it about to here, and left click and H to go out of orthogonal mode. I'm going to put one here. Okay. And then another arrow command. I'm just going to take it from right here, right click to it, bring it over here. Okay. And one more here and come back here. Okay, so now we're fairly clear on where the setback lines are. These are kind of important because we have to make sure that we're building within the building envelope. So I'm going to select this sheet node again because there's still a few that have not been indicated by this. And Control W to zoom out. And I want to do the same thing over here to make sure I'm getting this rear setback line and this north side yard setback line. So I'm going to hit zoom, go over to here and hit N to duplicate, set a point to set it. I'm initiating the arrow command, which again is the greater than key or shift period. Right click to snap to it, H to go in orthogonal mode, bring it on down and hit K as I get near the setback line, and then left click on my scroll button to initiate the command, initiate the arrow again, and I'm still in orthogonal mode. I can see up here, and I'm going to right click, go out just a little ways, and then set a point, H to go out of orthogonal mode or toggle off, and go up to near this setback line, and then hit K. It snaps to the line. I can hit enter or on my scroll button. So now we've taken care of all of the sheet notes that we have in our sheet note legend. There's only 7, so it's pretty easy. I'm thinking that we have quite a bit of room down here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this site plan text up just a little bit further to create as much area down below as I can, just to keep things clean, about like so. That ought to do it. And now I'm going to zoom up on the site plan itself and just take a quick look at things to see if I have any more conflicts with lines and text and that sort of thing. And I can see that I have a little bit of a conflict here on this rear yard measurement to the new garage. So I'm going to zoom up on that, select it, and this, again, the center, I'm going to right click on this center point and just kind of pull it over a little bit. You can move it up and down if you want, but I'm going to kind of keep it pretty much in the same line, and then just set a point and hit escape. So that's kind of has it out of the woods, so to speak.